Brent, for joining me today to talk about career and technology education, the impact that it has not only for our youth that get to participate in career and technology education, but also with your work that you do in economic development, the impact that we can have as we work with companies and economic development for the state. So in the conversation around youth and how youth can be involved in career and technology education, I know in your background, you have experience in being in an agriculture education program, being a part of our CareerTech student organization, FFA. From your perspective, what impact do you believe that that has on a student's education?
Well, one of my jobs in economic development is to help our companies in Enid and Northwest Oklahoma to grow. And one of the biggest challenges that we have in our part of the state, and it's true in other parts of the state as well, is finding quality workers, finding a good workforce. And I truly believe that CareerTech, and specifically the student organizations such as FFA, which I went through, my children are going through, I believe those organizations are the best workforce development programs that we have in the state of Oklahoma. And honestly, in the United States today. They're preparing students with soft skills. They're preparing students to be responsible. I know just going through the programs myself, that's where I learned those different qualities was through the CareerTech student programs.
As you talk about workforce development and making sure that we have that quality workforce in economic development, and you're trying to recruit a company, what are their top 3 to 4 questions that they want to know before they come to a community?
Whenever we're working with a company that's looking at coming to the Enid area, they don't necessarily want to look at who's got a specific permit or a specific certification. They want employees that are going to show up. They're going to stay the entire day. They're going to stay focused the entire day. They're going to add value to the company as they're there throughout the day. That's their definition of a productive workforce. And students that have gone through CareerTech student programs are at the top of the list, and they tell me all the time. You can tell whenever a kid has been in an FFA program or has given speeches or given reasons or some other part of the program, you can tell that that student has had to stand up and defend his or her thoughts in front of people. And that's very valuable as they move to our area. Now the next step in that also is, since they're not always looking for that specific certification, that specific permit, they're hiring people with a set of soft skills, and they expect assistance in getting those certifications once they've moved here. And again, that's where CareerTech steps in our area. Autry Technology Center is one of the largest in the state in working with companies to help their employees get that needed specific rifle shot education that they need to operate that one specific machine or read a specific balance sheet or P&L statement. They do it better than anybody.
And you talk about customized training or what a company is looking for. With your experience with FFA, for example, if a business leader is looking for specific characteristics, different things like that, what validates that we know we are preparing our individuals for success in the workplace?
Well, most of it's anecdotal that we have, where employers are just telling us day in and day out that they like the type of employee that they're getting from the CareerTech system. I know just a couple of nights ago I was working with my daughter on a proficiency award application, and she has a poultry program and she sells eggs to folks in the area, and we were working at updating her balance sheet and her profit and loss statement, and she was asking some very specific questions about putting those applications together that I'm hearing every day from our employers as well, wishing that their employees knew that kind of information. She's 17 years old and learning it right there at the computer as she applies for programs. So we're hearing the stories out there. We're seeing that a lot of our Oklahoma facilities are some of the most productive in the nation, and it's because of students that have gone through programs like that.
You also alluded a little bit to that customized component. When you have a business that may be putting in a new manufacturing line, or they're looking to update some of the skill sets that they have in their current workers, as CareerTech, how can we support the work that you do the best?
Well, first of all, you already are. CareerTech plays a major role in economic development in Oklahoma. Whenever our state legislature looks at the expense side of the ledger and the revenue side of the ledger, CareerTech is the revenue side of the ledger and helping to create productive businesses and a productive workforce out in the field. In our area, CareerTech works very closely with not just our major employers, but also with our smaller employers. They've got a whole team of business and industry professionals that work with probably 150 to 200 employers just in our 50,000 population community of Enid. And sometimes it's very general on safety training or maybe on lean manufacturing or something like that. And then there are some times where it's something very specific with a machine that happens to be at Parish Enterprises or Jeffco, and they've got new employees coming in and they need to be able to operate it. They're able to be fleet of foot and be able to handle both of those types of situations with our companies.
One of the other areas that I know that you're very actively involved in and where your office area is in the Center for Business Development. When we talk about entrepreneurship, we also have various Center for Business Development or incubators across the state for individuals who have that great creative idea and are looking to start that business. We have an opportunity to help them get that going and be a part of that in CareerTech. How do you see that that's a benefit for individuals who want to start a business here in the state of Oklahoma and provide to our economy?
Of our top 20 private employers in Enid, I think it's about 14 or 15 of those are businesses that started in Enid. We've always had an entrepreneurial spirit in our community and great success stories with large employers that are still there and some that have moved out. But historically, we had always just kind of let entrepreneurship happen for decades and decades. We weren't opposed to it, but we didn't necessarily nurture those new businesses. But now, with the Business Development Center in Enid and the whole team of individuals that are there to help that guy or that gal that's got the harebrained idea of this new product that we know we can bring to market, and I just know I can make it as this new food product, they can now be brought to reality with these groups of folks and put together a pro forma, put together a market study. Probably more than anything else, help to weed out those that probably shouldn't be starting their company, help to save them a lot of money and a lot of heartache later down the road as maybe something might have the opportunity to fail. But right now we're graduating business after business after business is coming out of this straight Business Development Center in Enid, and we wouldn't have that without the CareerTech system.
When we look at the conversation around businesses and we look at the number of small businesses that we have in the state of Oklahoma, the opportunity for the entrepreneurial spirit, we do have that across the state, and it's very important for us to make sure that we're supporting them, help them with that idea and get them on a strong foundation. So we're grateful that we get to participate in helping startup companies across the state, and then as they grow, we can provide them those customized services.
You know, something else to that point that I think CareerTech does very well in Oklahoma. We work all the time with entrepreneurs. CareerTech works with entrepreneurs, but probably more importantly, they work on the business retention side. That is the biggest part of economic development in our state or any state. You want to make sure that your existing companies are profitable, and if they are in a growth mode, you support them in doing so. And I know at our CareerTech in Enid, they meet with 150 or 200 companies every year, normally several times a month, meeting with them, asking them, what kind of needs do you have? What are your workforce needs? Do you have capital needs? We can help find people to come to the table to assist you with those. That's something a lot of states don't have. And we're so fortunate that we have that with our CareerTech system in Oklahoma.
Without the input of business and industry, we would not be able to provide the services that we do across the state. So business and industry is definitely our partner in making sure that we're providing the education that they need for their workforce. To change the conversation just a little bit more on the economic development, you mentioned other states and what they have. Are there other areas as you visit with other economic development individuals across the nation whether it's a leg up or an advantage in that we have here in our state because of our educational system across the board that we can provide to companies that other states don't have that opportunity.
Yes, just to give you an example, I met with a company representative just recently in Washington, D.C., and I thought he was meeting with me because he was wanting to move a company to Oklahoma. It ended up I walked into the room and it was a whole group of folks wanting to ask questions about our training programs, thinking eventually they could move here, probably looking at a training center though in our state, and they asked specifically about CareerTech. They wanted to know about the Training for Industry program, which is known just not around the United States. Companies around the world know about that program, and the fact that a company could move in and we would actually offset some of their cost for training some of their new employees on some of the equipment maybe that they've got. That's very, very unusual. And the fact that we do some embedded employees. We have a lot of that in the Enid area, where a CareerTech employee will actually go to work every day at a company and assist them with their training needs day in and day out in order to keep their employees safe, but more importantly, to keep that company profitable and growing and continuing to hire people. CareerTech Oklahoma is the envy of the rest of the United States, and I hear that almost on a weekly basis.
It's always good to make sure that we're still having that connection or that conversation. Are there other states that are doing things that we can learn from? And it's nice to know that we provide some services that other states want to learn from as well. Are there other areas that I haven't touched on, or that areas that you see that you think are important that individuals should know about career and technology education or the opportunities that are in CareerTech?
I think with CareerTech, there are two parts to the program, and some folks are involved in one side and don't realize the other side happens, and vice versa. One is on the youth side, and preparing our next generation of workers for the workforce, and not just how to drive a truck or how to weld a bead, but how to get up in the morning, how to be responsible whenever you go to work, how to look people in the eye whenever you talk to them and shake their hand firmly. Those types of soft skills, they're not taught very many other places anymore. And so CareerTech is really the crown jewel for that. But those who have been involved in that side might not realize the adult training that happens, and that new company that comes to town, or that existing company that's got new equipment that's come in. CareerTech can just swarm that company with assistance and help them to grow and make sure their employees are prepared. And because of that, they can hire somebody with good soft skills, and then CareerTech can help them to add those pertinent certificates or permits or whatever it might be in order to do their job. It's really from nuts to bolts. CareerTech helps with the entire workforce.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time today to talk to us about CareerTech and the impact that we can have on workforce development and economic development, and look forward to our continued work that we do to help bolster the economy in the state of Oklahoma. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.